Bar for Bar album reviews. Murs, Love and Rockets Volume 2. Love and Rockets Volume 2, The Declaration, is the latest album from living legend Murs. This album is a follow-up to the original Love and Rockets, which released back in 2011, but this time around it's with DJ Fresh on production. And this is actually the third project from Murs this year, with Felt For You and He's the Christian, I'm the Rapper as the other two. The work ethic of this man is insane, but that's to be expected from longtime fans of his. This project comes in at a total runtime of 32 minutes with 12 tracks, so it's a fairly quick listen, and listeners should have no trouble finding time to listen to it. As a follow-up to the original, my expectations were set pretty high. The original came out during an interesting time in my life when I had just graduated high school and was still kind of coming to terms with the fact that I didn't get to go to any of the colleges of my choice. So I was in community college. I've definitely dated myself with that. Regardless, Volume 1 was the soundtrack for my life at that time for a good while. So hopefully this one does the same. This album starts off with an intro titled Liftoff featuring Spiritual Homegirl. This does a great job of introducing the album by really explaining the title of the album. A lot of it is about the excitement of something new, particularly in relationships. It's used almost as a metaphor for the butterflies you get in your stomach at the beginning of a relationship when you're just always excited to see the other person or talk to them. But it's also about what happens when that phase is over. Sometimes you just lose that feeling that you had early on for one reason or another. And it's not necessarily a bad thing, because that's just how things go sometimes. All that really matters is the journey. This then goes right into the first song proper, the DOC. Regarding the video for it, Murs has said, "The colors red and blue represent division and violence to many people in my city. However, I prefer to see the strength and unlimited power that they represent when unified." I really appreciate what he's trying to push for in the community, and it comes across pretty well in the song itself. The chorus goes, "A cuz, A blood," in a way that almost sounds like he's trying to bring them closer, like, "Hey, yo, come here. Let's try to get something going." Throughout the song, we get a feeling of inclusion and community in a way to help bring change and peace. But Murs makes sure to let the listener know, if you're going to keep running your mouth, he's going to tap that jaw. Next we have Goats, which upon first listen may seem like a hating song because of all the people that he calls out, from Clint Eastwood to Joe Rogan to Donald Trump. However, I feel it's more in praise of the artists and groups that we consider to be goats and the impact that these people had on him when he was growing up. This is especially evident in the lines, "Fill me up with pride, have me feeling blessed to be a black kid in 92, same year Steve Rifkin went and signed the Woo. What a time to be alive." I can only imagine how Murs felt at the time of all these major acts coming out, like the Woo, Outkast, Dog Pound, and Tribe Called Quest. The 90s rap scene was crazy different. I think the other point that he's trying to get across here, though, is that even in the 90s, there were others that were probably way more popular in pop culture and were looked to as role models typically. But to him, as a black kid in 92, he looked up to these artists instead. Murs in Retrograde just sounds so disrespectful. It's like Murs is just tired of all the people, or just one person in particular, hating on him for no good reason and just disregarding his accomplishments. The first instance that Murs brings up is this guy who says he beat Murs up and took his money, knowing damn well that never happened. He also brings up that some people just won't do anything until they're told to, as their followers essentially. Whereas he's been on his grind independently basically for the entirety of his career. The idea that this is a single person that he's talking to is, I guess, reinforced with the lines, "Put food on the table when you wasn't able, like I had a halo, so what's all the hate for?" I really have no idea who he's talking to here. But it could very well just be a general statement to people who are just hating on him currently or have hated on him in the past. It's like, he's providing for people, but you're still over here hating. Like, what? It definitely feels like he's tired of all the people just kind of sneak dissing him in the game, and he's prepared to show them their mistakes with, "All I'm saying is I'm not playing. Y'all try to go bar for bar and can't hang with it." Clearly, that's a shout out for me and for Bar for Bar. Clearly. Regulators switches things up just a little bit. Mostly to remind the listener that Murs isn't regular. Regular. The first verse starts off with him comparing driving in LA and ducking cops to riding a speeder bike with the cops being stormtroopers. It also serves to let you know a little bit more about him as a person in his past, where he used to be strapped up and a little more violent. But as he's gotten older, he's gone for the more peaceful route. With the second verse, he addresses people that portray themselves as being tough or hard. And he lets them know that you can still be tough and not have to kill someone. It really ends up being all about taking care of family and doing what's right. This then goes into Hedy Murphy, which is just Murs talking about how much he likes to go down on women. I don't think most listeners of Murs' music wouldn't be too surprised to hear this type of song. And normally I'm not really into this, but it's cool. I like it. We then get I'm a Vegan, which just sounds like a vegan anthem of sorts. It's kind of funny because the chorus is literally just repeating, I'm a vegan, bitch, I'm a vegan, I'm a vegan. Like, it almost sounds like it could have just been on as a freestyle that they just had fun with and they want to put on the project. Next we have Unbothered, featuring Lady Divinity. This song is about being unbothered by what people think of you and just doing you. Murs talks about how he's basically a nerd and hella into comics. But back in the day, he used to keep the heater on him, even though that wasn't really what he was about and who he was. Now, he's glad that he can put that behind him and actually just be himself. In the second verse, Murs mentions that back in the day, he used to go to night school with a bunch of thugs, but they never pressed him because they knew who he was. I took it in a slightly different way, though. To me, it sounded like these guys were just trying to better themselves and found no reason to bother Murs like the fake gangbangers used to do. This then takes us to St. Ides, which is a malt liquor that's kind of hard to come by these days. This track has Murs reminiscing about things that he used to do back in the day while drinking St. Ides, from the age of 13 up till now, really. It started off with, just getting with a girl and moving weed across state lines and then slanging his tapes on the corner. It just feels like it's one of those mementos that you have to kind of remind yourself of where you came from. Kind of like how a lot of people have this sweet spot for like top ramen or those chili cheese Fritos. Man, those Fritos are good though. A real one starts off with Murs remembering all the struggles and the people that have lost their lives because of the color of their skin. Many of these struggles and losses have brought us to where we are and serve as a reminder to keep pushing and make change happen. This then goes into the idea that he's been keeping it real from the jump with his rapping. There's no fake shit, it's all legit. This is mostly aimed towards rappers who just say whatever with their music, even if they haven't experienced what they're talking about. With the second verse, he ties things back into the intro, where he knows that there's power in the hood, and when everyone unites, change will happen. Now we have one of my favorite songs on the album, Diana Doom. And this is mostly my favorite song because of the beat being so different from what I'd expect to hear from Murs, and because he's flexing his storytelling muscles heavily. The general idea of the song is that Diana is this woman that he's just enamored with and will do anything to be with her, like hiding her birth control pills and getting her pregnant. However, the insecurity never left him, so he's constantly checking her phone every night. Then we get to a beat switch where he finds out that Diana has been seeing someone this whole time and goes to kill the guy. The track starts to end and continues on, I guess, with her just straight up telling him, yo, I never loved you. Like, I never loved you because I never respected you. How could I? But I'm gonna help you get rid of this body because our daughter needs a dad. But remember though, this is just a story that he thought up. The final track on this project is Risk It All, which features an outro from none other than the Company Man. This track does a really good job of wrapping things up and kind of closing out the themes of Love and Rockets. There are risks that you need to take and sacrifices that need to be made sometimes to attain your goals or just to provide for your family, and it sounds like Murs is glad that he's done so. He's been able to see through all the fakeness and has surrounded himself with people that are real to him and won't just give him fake love. The end of the track is full of praise from the Company Man, where he's just talking about how much work Murs puts in. I mean, this is the third album this year that he's put out, and he's constantly working, and under normal circumstances, he'd probably be touring right now. It also acts as a reminder of all the good things that Murs is doing, like having adopted kids, which isn't something that many can or want to do. Like, he's got enough room in his heart to help make things better for them, or, at least try to. Overall, this album was really good. It was a surprise to me when it released this Monday night, but I've been listening to it constantly. As a follow-up to the original Love and Rockets, I feel like it did a great job. There's a lot on here that longtime fans of Murs will definitely enjoy, and I'm glad that I took the time to try and understand it all. My favorite tracks here are Murs in Retrograde, The DOC, Diana Doom, St. Ides, and Risk It All. I mean, you all know how I feel about Murs, being that I brought him up quite frequently in the recent podcasts, but I'm always excited to hear what he's got to say. I know that it won't be a long wait until the next project, but I'm still excited and can't wait nonetheless. Let me know in the comments below what you thought of this album and what your favorite tracks are. Also, like and subscribe if you want to see more content and reviews like this one. With that said, thank you for watching, and please stay safe out there.